Yo, how y'all doing, man? My name is Kevin Brown, and you watching Bedtime Stories.
It will be alright. It will be alright.
And tonight, I got a real cool book in my hand. It's called Abdul's Story. And I like it because it kind of looked like me when I was a little boy. You know what I mean? I haven't read it yet, but just from the illustrations alone, I know I'm going to love it. So y'all already know what to do. Go get your mama, your daddy, your sister, your brother, your snacks, your comfortable pillow you like to chill with and read books with, and come read Abdul's Story with me. I know y'all gonna love it. Come on. Abdul's Story, written by Jamilah Thompkins-Bigelow, illustrated by Tiffany Rose. Abdul loved to tell stories. He told one about the high-stepping kids who collected donations in boots, another about the teenagers who danced in subway cars. He had one about the bow-tie-wearing man hawking bean pies on Broad Street, and even one about the woman who sold water ice from her basement on hot summer days. Writing these stories was hard. Making lowercase b face the right way was tricky. P and S too. Silent letters were downright sneaky. How could Abdul know there was an E if it never made a sound? Abdul loved straight lines, the ones his barber shaved. But Abdul's scribbly, scratchy, scrawny letters never stayed on any line. During writing period each day, he wrote, then erased his mistakes. Wrote, then erased. Wrote, then erased. His classmates had neat sentences. Abdul had smudges. Why write his stories anyway? The people and places in his school books never looked or sounded like the people or places he knew. Some stories are for books, Abdul decided, but not his. One day, Abdul's class had a visitor. Mr. Muhammad had lines straighter than straight around his beard and hairline. His sneakers, like Abdul's, had not a single crease or scuff. Mr. Muhammad was a writer. He read a story about a watchful boy with hair shaved low and skin the color of night. Women braided hair on front steps of his story. Girls with clacking beads jumped rope, and men in white thobes prayed on the sidewalks outside a full storefront mosque. The boy watched over his community. Write new stories with new superheroes, Mr. Muhammad said. Abdul pressed his paper down firmly. He could be an author like Mr. Muhammad. But B played tricks again. Mr. Muhammad walked around reading each child's work. He was getting close. The silent E go here? Silent U? Erase, erase, erase. Abdul tried writing neatly. Write, erase, erase, rip. He slammed down his pencil. Jada and Kwame had pages of words. Abdul had a hole. Abdul slid down under the table. He imagined an eraser big enough to erase himself. Nice sneaks. Can I see your story? Mr. Muhammad asked. I don't got a story, Abdul whispered. Everyone has a story. But I can't write them like you, Abdul pointed. Me either, Mr. Muhammad said. Come with me. I want to show you my notebook. That's a mess. I get messy words out so good, words can come too. I fixed the mess later. Before walking away, he said, keep trying. That gave Abdul an idea. Bismillah, he said. Snap! Abdul scribbled words and made mistakes without erasing. He wrote around the hole, filling the page. I wrote a mess like yours, Abdul told Mr. Muhammad. Mr. Muhammad smiled. Find a great story in there. Abdul squinted. He saw words misspelled, but wondrous and sloppy-looking sentences he loved. Over the next few days, Abdul rewrote a less messy mess, then an even less messy mess. He smiled when he read his story to himself, but when it was time to hand it in, he didn't feel like smiling. That's sloppy, Jada said. You spelled a word wrong, Kwame added. Abdul slipped his paper underneath the others. Some kids are writers, Abdul thought, but not me. Days later, Mr. Muhammad returned. I loved your stories, he exclaimed. I had to read one again and again. It was so good. Everyone sat up. Everyone except Abdul. Kwame whispered, I bet it was mine. I spelled every word right. Jada whispered back, he's probably like mine. I had the best handwriting in class. Mr. Muhammad started reading the story in a loud, clear voice. It was a boy with tall hair, shaped with sharp lines, and skin the orange brown of sunrise. He watched over the kids stomp, stomp, stepping down the block and the ones breaking to the beat of a city train. He even protected the grown-ups who sold things and were like family. Abdul sat up. It was his story. And then Muhammad paused. He frowned at the page. Abdul's cheeks burned. Everyone listened, wide-eyed and silent. Mr. Muhammad read on, stopping a few more times at mistakes until he reached the end of the story. That was by Abdul, Mr. Muhammad said. Abdul slowly looked up. Everyone stared. Were they smiling? Yes, and clapping too. Great story, Kwame told Abdul. I loved it, said Jada. When they returned to their writing, Abdul whispered to Mr. Muhammad, what about my mistakes? Writers make mistakes. We'll work on them. As they worked, Abdul thought, some people are writers, and I am one of them. The end. Wow, boy. I had no idea that Abdul was a writer. Y'all heard me say in the beginning that he looked like me, but I never knew he really was like me. You know what I mean? You know I'm a writer, so I really could relate to this story. And better than just relate to it, I learned a real nice lesson. And that lesson is, your story is important. You feel me? When you're creating something like drawing or writing a story or just, you know what I mean? Just doing anything where you're just making something out of nothing. You can never do it wrong. You feel me? Like his story could never be wrong because it's his story. And as long as the people who he's targeting understand it, then he did it right. Which means as long as the people who reading your book enjoy it, there's no right or wrong. Even if you just enjoy your story, it's still not wrong. You feel me? You can create whatever you want. Remember that. You have power. You know what I mean? But yeah, man, what did y'all learn? Let me know. Put it in the comments. Email me, text me. Just let me know. Because like I always say, y'all are smarter than me. And I'm ready to learn. So teach me. You feel me? But yeah, man. It's time for me to hit the sack, man. I'm tired, man. Had a long day. I'm so glad I read this book. Remember, anything that you create is right. You feel me? Just like Abdul, you can create anything you want. You can scribble all over the paper. You can do anything you want. Because it's just creations. You know what I mean? Somebody's going to like it. And if they don't, at least you got to create something that was fun. You know what I mean? You had fun while you were creating it. Remember that. Create anything you want, however you want. If you want to just draw a painting and just scribble all over the page, do it. You feel me? Let out your creativity however you want. You feel me? But yeah, y'all, I'm going to keep on preaching, so I'm going to just shut up because y'all know I can just talk all night. But yeah, man, y'all know what it is. Be you, be true, and be back tomorrow morning for the early word. Remember, you can create whatever you want to create. You got the power.
Can't sleep at night. It will be all